Tackling different equations in the science laboratory, or tackling, crossing the ball and scoring goals, it was always a tough decision for Ian Jones. Ian travelled up to Newcastle University in 1985 with his football boots in his bag, along with school advanced level certificates in maths, physics and chemistry. It was hugely exciting to prepare to study chemical engineering in this northern English city, famous for its love of football. Today he concedes he spent too much time on the football pitch and not enough time in the science lab. Equally, if he'd worked even harder in front of goal, his time playing for British universities and semi-professionally in clubs around London might have led to even greater glory in front of the fans on the terraces. But life is tough. And it's also a compromise, and whether his real plan A or plan B might have come to full fruition, Ian will never know. He has never been able to remember the car crash in 1991 when he was 24. Unlucky to be in it, lucky to survive it is how Ian sums it up. The crash damaged his brain, his decision-making memory, mental control and well-being, and it also damaged him physically. He feels all of these effects, even today. Talk with Ian today, and he's a realist with a dry, engaging sense of humour. He actually forged a decent career and has a contented family, including 3 children. Some of his young ideals may have been lost in the accident, but he did gain a crucial outlook on life at an early age, much earlier than most. That, knowing you have to make the most of every single day you've been given.
I'm a bit fatalistic, but I'm very much aware. I mean, play football Thursday night, came home, got up in the morning, that was it. I'm very much aware it could all be gone tomorrow. Make as much today as you can if you like.
With a wistful smile, Ian tells us he misses running onto the pitch in the FA Cup qualifying rounds or playing in the Middlesex Cup final in 1998, helping his team to recover from 1-0 down to win 2-1 as he set up both goals. He has been told he watched George Best, Bobby Charlton and co. in the 1968 European Cup final, sitting on his dad's knee as a 2-year-old, and has followed Manchester United ever since. His ideal was the great midfielder Brian Robson, and like his hero, Ian would run box to box the whole match, a powerhouse of a player who could sprint the 100 metres in 11 seconds flat. His last goal for Egham Town, one of a pair he scored on that day, was a controlled lob over the keeper from the halfway line. The thrill of holding a long putt may not be quite the same, but it can still delight him. When we spoke with him during the RSM playoff series, an Edgar competition in Stratford-on-Avon Golf Club in England in 2021, he revealed he still loves the competitive moments, but also takes joy from the beauty around him in the fresh air and the companionship of his playing partners. Ian was pleased and relieved that day because he'd just come back from being 3 down with 4 to play to beat Finland's Petri Partanen on the last hole in his quarter-final.
We had a really good time, and that's what it's about. It's to say, yes, I want to compete, I want to win, but I also want to talk to people. I want to meet people, I want to find out what they think. While there are organisations that egg about or just have a golf about, or if there's an opportunity to do something, my advice to anybody would be do it, because if you don't do it, you could regret not trying.
For Ian, damage to the part of the brain called the amygdala meant the ability to empathise easily, to make connections with new people, were compromised and would affect his career. Neurological damage put paid to his footballing dream, despite considerable effort he made to get playing again. Golf has been, and still is, so tough to master. It is difficult for Ian to control muscular movement at key points of the shot, but he's quick to contend that playing the game has formed a key part of his rehabilitation process, even 30 years on. Therefore, he has no hesitation in recommending golf to other people who have suffered injury, impairment, or illness. Golf has helped his well-being, helped stop him retreating into himself and being antisocial.
And you're with people, you're out and you're talking. I mean, I do that. I can be at home, and if I'm at home, I'll be at home with the dog and don't see anyone. And you're right, some disabilities, mine being one of them, you become very insular because of my interpersonal skills deficit. You don't reach out. You're happy being inside yourself rather than breaking it. And golf actually makes you talk to people, and it's a great way of doing it. And the thing I find beneficial is You're not talking to people for the sake of talking to them. Golf is the best sport I've found for disabled people.
Apart from playing for Newcastle University, then the English and British universities, Ian would play for the FA national team twice, and regularly for teams such as Uxbridge, Staines Town and Egham Town, training, playing, and then up early to jump into his Rover 216 to drive back up to Newcastle for a business meeting. He says he thought he was Superman in those early days.
I had my accident on August the 9th, 1991. It was pre-season. I'd played on Tuesday. I played on Thursday. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to Newcastle on the Friday and got as far as Chesterfield. Nobody knows what happened. They can't make out what went wrong. I was cut out of the car, 14 days in a completely comatose. I was in Chesterfield till the end of August. I then got transferred down to Hindington Hospital and was there until December, and then went in quite a lot of time from there, and effectively went back to work in August of that year. In layman's terms, the car stopped, I stopped, my skull stopped, my brain hit the inside of the skull. In terms of other people with the same thing, Michael Watson did the same thing, Michael Schumacher did the same thing, James Cracknell did it in the minor level. It's effectively concussion. The brain hits and then bleeds, and because when the brain bleeds, it shuts itself down. I'm lucky it happened, but lucky to be here.
In those tough weeks and months of recovery, no one helped Ian more than his parents.
I think the key one is my parents. Because my parents always encouraged me to do things. And I mean, for example, I was in a hospital, and you have physio during the day, and then you're back in the evening. But after every day, my dad came in, took me to the gym, sat me by the wall because I didn't have the control of my body, and bounced the ball to me, then we bounced it back. We spent hours doing that.
Considering the injuries, Ian and his family feel he achieved a great deal by building a successful career until he retired around 2008. He had always been bright at school, but he cruised academically because of the football, and he admits he should have got a better grade in his university finals in chemical engineering. But shortly before the accident, he had finally shown his true intellectual pedigree by securing an accountancy qualification which would propel him into a run of good jobs.
I was the management accountant when I had an accident, the CFO in the company in Abu Dhabi. Trouble was, as I got more senior, my disabilities mattered more. I have a surfeit in interpersonal skills. I have no empathy. When I get angry, I have to control that. As an example, rather than get angry, I can shut myself down. But when you get to senior levels in companies, if you shut yourself down when they're making you angry, you just keep playing politics. I worked out at that point, I was going no further. I'd done well, got to that fine. And luckily I came home and my wife took up the baton, so she's now HR people director for a care group. Life hadn't worked out the way I thought it was going to, even after the accident, because you think this will happen, this will happen. But the good thing is we've managed to find a way to get life to work for us.
Ian, now aged 55, and his wife Kirsty have recently moved to Reading near London, and they have 3 kids, oldest Jessica, then Ben, and youngest Libby, who is also studying at Newcastle University, keeping her dad happy. Ian got into golf properly around 20 years ago.
My journey into golf came from sadness. I regret trying to get back to football after the accident.
He wanted to compete in golf, still does, like he did at football. But he soon started to see other benefits of the game.
The key thing I have to work on the golf course is I have spasticity. Now, it's not obvious, it's there and it's there else. But if I stand over a shot, I get spastic. If I hit the club too hard, I get spastic. If I get to a nod, I get spastic. So I found the way I play golf is I look at the shot, stand behind the ball, look at the shot, and get the club, walk up to the wall and hit it. I can't control my body when it's in the same position for a long time. So it's like a fluid motion. You walk up to the ball and then hit it. Makes putting difficult. I think most of in fact, all of the disabled people I know They found a way to make the disability work for them. We've all got issues. Can you actually manage the issues to do what you want to do?
Ian says the role golf has played in continuing his rehabilitation is fantastic.
Rehab hasn't really stopped. I went back to work half an hour a week, then 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, then worked up to days. Got back to a level, never quite got back to where I was. I'm still learning how to get my body to work better now. People say visualisation is a great tool. It's when you understand how to make something work. I'm spastic down my right side. Left side brain injury, left side spasticity. And my right side is weaker than my left side, so I tend to carry it all the time. But you find ways to make things happen that wouldn't happen before.
He is still learning. Until recently, Ian's brain injury wouldn't allow him to hop on his right leg. But last year he started trying and working on his balance. It took time. But eventually he found a way, and now he can hop with the best of us. He believes that the spirit which he showed in recovery, and before that on the football field, he now brings to golf, and he says he'd love to see more competitions and good training for people with a disability new to the sport of all ages. He hopes to help more events of this type at his own golf club, Castle Royal near Reading, to take place.
I think it'd be lovely if there was an event once a month or once a week or even in each individual region. I mean, I'm trying to get Bucks and Birds to actually organise that. It'd be nice actually because the more you get people involved, the more they'll be involved and they'll see that, I can do that. Maybe they won't like it, but they'll try it. Having made the choices I made, I think anyone that is in the same situation as me should consider whether they can play golf or not, and if they want to play golf, because it's a way of meeting people, and it's a way of improving yourself. Because a lot of disabled people, you're trying to find a way to negate or minimise the impact of your impairment. And golf's like that. I mean, my coach, Rob Watts at Castle Royal, he gave up trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
He gives me pointers. I come to him and say, what about if I do this? And we work on doing that and see if it works. My swing has evolved over 2 years. Not because he said do this, this and this. He doesn't know because nobody knows.
Nobody knows because, as Ian says, the brain is an amazing piece of kit. Meanwhile, Ian wants to play more competitions and sample some of the greatest venues. In the recent past, he has enjoyed Aldborough in Suffolk and Royal Liverpool and Royal Leven St Anne's in the northwest of England. This game has been an excellent therapy for him, and he's keen that others can experience its benefits.
All I would say, people that have been impaired, just keep working. The more you do, the better you get.
Good advice from a man who is still working on his rehab 30 years on. Still looking to enjoy every day because he knows whatever you plan, life gets in the way. And Ian Jones may no longer be flying up and down the pitch like Brian Robson, scoring from the halfway line, but he remains a very tough competitor. When you're 3 up with 4 to play with Ian Jones, it's all just getting started.